Hello friends, and welcome back to Towne Yoga. My name is Amy Towne, and this is day 9 of our 10-part series where we focus on chronic pain management. Today's practice is going to start standing, and then we'll make our way down to the ground. So if you have a mat to roll out, that's wonderful. If not, just make sure you clear yourself a safe, comfortable space. And when we come to the ground, we will be hands and knees and tabletop. So if you have sensitive knees, go ahead and grab a blanket or some pillows to place underneath them when we get down there. We're going to start standing today with a little bit of chair poses. And some yogis like to do chair pose with their feet together. That seems to be traditional. But with pain management, I find it's more comfortable when my feet are just underneath my hips. So you can try either one you'd like today. And the main thing in chair pose is that when you bend your knees, you want them to line up over your toes. So that's whether your feet are together or apart. We'll take these with hands at heart center, so you'll just bring your hands here. And then begin to send your hips back as you bend your knees, lining them up with your toes, and lift back to standing. And we'll take this a few times. Exhale, hips back, bend your knees. Inhale, back to standing. And maybe you look down to check that your knees are going over your toes as you bend. And your bend might be just a tiny bit. That's fine. We're warming up the muscles in the front of our legs here. And our breath. Inhaling down. Exhale up. Maybe you go just a little bit lower for these last two. Sending the hips back. Chest stays lifted as best you can. And then back to standing with your hands by your sides. Now, this next pose we're going to take at the top of our mat so we can step back in a little bit. But the first part, the standing part, is actually my go-to when I'm out at an amusement park or a sports game or a museum and my back is acting up and with chronic pain. There's like 100% chance that if I'm at one of those events, it's going to happen at some point. So I like to sneak away to a restroom and take this series, and it's my go-to because it's a standing series of cat-cow. So you can work through your low back and your spine without having to sit anywhere. So restroom, if I just need to sneak off and stretch out for a minute or two, that's what I can do. So might help you as well. Come to standing at the top of your mat. And just like we were, the feet are going to be right underneath your hips with your hands at your heart. And then just like before with that chair pose, you'll send your hips back and just bend your knees a little bit. Now bring your hands down to your legs and walk your palms so your fingers are pointing down and you can kind of grip your thighs a little bit here, letting some of your weight come to your palms. And your arms can be straight or your elbows bent, whatever feels best. Now using your hands on your legs, allow yourself to round your spine, pressing it away as you let your chin come towards your chest. And this is your cat spine as you kind of press away. And then we'll come to the cow spine, arching a little as your belly comes towards your thighs and you draw your shoulders back, the front of your neck comes long. Exhale, round your spine. Inhale, arch. And just play with the placement of your hands to find what's best for you. And the angle of your hips, you might come a little bit more into the squat. That can feel really good some days. Explore a little bit here. This motion is different with subtle differences. So take time to find what feels best for you. Inhaling as you arch. And exhaling as you round. We'll take just one more to each direction. And then come back to your arching spine and begin to walk your hands down and then turn to your rounded spine as your head comes heavy. Your hands press to the mat as you begin to walk your feet back, hips nice and high. Maybe you pause for a moment in down dog before releasing your knees down to the mat for tabletop. And today I'm going to leave my hands a little bit in front of my shoulders and a little bit wider than usual, as wide as my mat. And we'll take a few cat-cows from here. Exhale as you round your spine. Inhale as you arch. And just one more time, exhaling to round. Inhaling to arch. And then settling back to neutral. Take your knees a little bit wider, and we're going to take an extended child's pose flow. Now with your knees a little wider, you can choose to tuck your toes under, kind of bring them towards each other, or to untuck them. You can try both out, and you're just going to press your hips towards your heels. And then lift back up. Maybe try the other way. Pressing hips to heels, and lifting up. And we're just going to take this a few times, and this is where, again, if you have sensitive knees, feel free to place a blanket underneath them. And we'll take one more here. The next time you lower down, pause with your hips back, and then walk your hands over to the left as you feel a little stretch through your right side. Walking back to center, and then over to the right as you stretch a bit through your left. Back to center, and we'll take one more each side, walking over to the left, center, and right, and center, and then back towards your thighs as you come to seated on your heels, taking hands to one side so you can swing your feet out to the other, and all the way around to the front of your body. And from here, you'll just scoot to the top of your mat and gently roll back, using your hands and forearms to help your back come down to the mat. With your heels bent in close to your bum, your knees pointing to the sky. And we'll take a few windshield wipers. You can open your arms out wide if you have the space, or maybe you just rest them on top of your ribs here. Take your feet a little wider than your hips, and then lower them off to one side. Both knees come down. Send your knees center, and lower to the opposite side. Back to center. If it's a little too much, you can also try this with your hands on the outside of your thighs, and just use them for a bit of support as you lower your knees down, and kind of help with bringing the earth a little closer. And you just take a few rounds side to side, letting the opposite hip come up. Letting your breath guide you as you inhale to the center and exhale to the side. The next time your knees come back to the center, pause here. Bring your feet just in front of your hips, and then send one leg up to the sky, maybe giving your toes a little wiggle. Before you bend this, so I'm going to do my right foot, before you bend your right knee, and let the outside of your ankle come to the top of the opposite knee. And just take a moment to draw your toes up towards your shins so you're flexing these muscles. And if you'd like, you can take your hand just below your knee and press your thigh away and out a bit. I like to take opposite hand to the opposite hip and just hold it down. You can rest it by your side, yogi's choice. And we're just going to pause here in figure 4 for a few rounds of breath. And again, you can play with your angles. Maybe the ankle is a little too much. You can slide it so that your calf or your shin is on top of your knee. You can bring your foot closer in if that feels good. Yogi's choice. Feel free to move, take little movements to find what feels best. Take one last slow exhale here. Before you inhale, reaching your foot back up to the sky. And then exhale, placing it down in front of your hips. And now inhale your opposite foot up. Maybe give your toes and ankle a little wiggle. Before you bend at your knee, setting the outside of your ankle on top of the opposite knee. Flexing your toes up towards your shin. And then take your hand just below your knee to your thigh so you can gently press it away, maybe out to the side a bit. And your opposite hand again can anchor at your hip, or you can have it down by your side. It's yogi's choice. And just pause and breathe here, making all those little subtle movements to try to find the best posture for you. And if you find a good stretch, just pause and breathe into that. You might notice the two sides feel differently. I know I always feel a lot tighter on this side, so I'll usually pause on the side that feels tighter for a little bit longer, just giving it a little extra treatment. We'll take one last round of breath here in this figure 4. Before reaching your foot back up to the sky and setting it down next to the other. And you can let your knees face up or let them fall in towards each other, bringing your hands to your sides or resting them on belly or chest. I hope that you've enjoyed today's practice and that you join me for tomorrow, day 10, our final day in this No Pain series. And then again, I invite you to repeat these through, maybe finding your favorite ones and just holding on to them if they offer some pain relief. That standing cat-cow series might seem a little funny, but it's really served me so many times when I've been out and just not feeling so great. So if it can serve you, that would be wonderful. With hands to heart center, I'd like to let you know that the light in me honors and respects the light in you. Namaste.